Hi guys, this is Jonathan Lambert with the Mathematics Development and Support Service at the National College of Ireland, and this short video, another video in our series of videos dealing with hypothesis testing, is going to concentrate on what's known as an independent samples t-test. And more importantly, this particular test is an independent samples t-test assuming population standard deviations are equal. Actually, I'm going to do another video as well on this particular scenario, just to actually test the hypothesis that we can actually assume that the population standard deviations are equal but unknown. So that will be another video, maybe a video just after this, but in the series it'll probably actually appear before this. So as for this particular scenario, I have a particular scenario here. Once again, thanks to Stephen Walsh for giving me this particular scenario to run. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just walk through the scenario and just take this step by step. The key thing, as I said, in relation to problem solving these types of scenarios, is to try to extract as much information out. Information in relation to all of the sample details. For example, all of the information with respect to samples that are provided in a scenario. For example, sample sizes, sample means, sample standard deviations, and also information with respect to the populations that the samples have been drawn from, where that information is provided. Another scenario that we had previous to this was, instead of we weren't provided with means and standard deviations, in other words, we weren't provided with them particular statistics associated with samples, we were provided with proportions. So that's another thing sort of to keep an eye on, whether you're given raw frequencies or not with respect to this scenario. But in this scenario now we're given means and we're given standard deviations of the sample. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just walk through the scenario. And it says this, as part of the preparation for a regional investment programme, the government is proposing to designate counties as either priority or developed areas. Okay, so the government within Ireland is planning on designating particular counties within Ireland as either priority or developed, with the former to receive higher levels of state aid than the latter. Okay, the former meaning the first thing, priority. Okay, with priority counties receiving higher levels of state aid than the latter being the developed areas. Okay, so we have two types of areas. We have priority areas and we have developed areas. The priority areas are going to get more designated more state aid than the developed areas. Now, the choice of counties to be included in each category is to be based on perceived average income levels in each county. In other words, your county will be characterized as priority. In other words, it'll be characterized as priority and hence receive more state aid if the average income levels in that particular county are less than the average income levels in counties that are designated to be developed areas. So just let's keep that in mind. Okay, it is proposed to designate County Rockland. So we're going to designate, or it's being proposed to designate County Rockland as a priority area, and to designate County Primeland as a developed area. Okay, so developed area would be County Primelands. So there's two counties. One is after getting specified as a priority area for investment, and another as a developed area, and hence would receive less investment than the priority area. But I suppose this is a little bit of a contentious issue, and a group of local politicians in County Primeland, okay, are unhappy with this. And they are arguing that the average income level in Primeland, their county, is no higher than in Rockland. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So this is the contentious issue. County Rockland got designated as priority, okay, because the government feels that their average income is less than County Primeland. But the politicians in County Primeland are arguing that their average income level in Primeland is no higher than Rockland. So they're saying that actually Rockland got designated as priority, but our income levels in Primeland are no higher than those in Rockland. So let's just keep that in mind. And to support this contention, they commissioned an independent survey of average income levels in the two counties. Okay, so the politicians in County Primeland have gone off and they've commissioned an independent survey. Okay, an independent survey that's going to consider people from Rockland and also consider people from Primeland, and actually more importantly consider their average income levels. Okay, now what's really important about when we're doing a hypothesis test is to try to extract out as much information with respect to the samples and also with respect to the populations, okay, with respect to the hypothesis itself. So what we have here is this, is we have a sample of 600 households in prime land shows an average income of 47,000 per annum with a standard deviation of 12,000. While a sample of 500 households in Rockland shows an average income of 44,000 per annum with a standard deviation of 10,000. So we're given two pieces of information, albeit we're given two, sets of information based on two different samples. The first sample is with respect to prime land, and there was 600 households. So let's just write that down here. There was 600 households. That was the sample size, a sample of 600 households in prime land. So that was the sample size for prime land. In other words, that was small n of subscript p for prime land. And they had an average income of 47,000. In other words, the average of the sample of 600 houses had an income of 47,000 euros. So this 47,000 euros here is the average income for prime land. So that's X bar subscript P for prime land, with a standard deviation of 12,000. So in this case here, we're going to assume that 12,000 euros is the standard deviation of the sample for prime land. So that's S subscript P. Don't get this mixed up with the concept of pooled variance. This is S subscript P for the standard deviation of prime land. Then we have here, while a sample of 500 households in Rockland, okay, so the sample size for Rockland is 500. That's the sample size for Rockland, small n subscript R. Shows that their average income is 44,000. So we have 44,000 is their average income. So that's an X bar, and it's for Rockland. So it's X bar subscript R. And also we have their standard deviation is 10,000 euros. So that's 10,000. 10,000 is the standard deviation for Rockland. Okay. Now, the important thing here in relation to this particular test, okay, is that we have two samples. Okay, we have sample 1 and we have sample 2. So this is an independent samples t-test. So this is an independent samples t-test because we have two samples and there's no dependence between the observations are independent of each other. You're either taken from prime land or you're taken from Rockland. They're not the same measurements being made on the same individuals. You're either in one location or the other, so they're independent samples. And we're going to be doing, when we have two samples, we do an independent samples t-test. But more importantly, the independent samples t-test has two variants of that, okay?